Hello and welcome back to Higher Home. My name is Cid Isbell, and I'd like to welcome you to my land. I live just outside of Merida in the Yucatan, about an hour and a half from Merida. This land, it's considered a ranch here. It's about 20 hectares or roughly almost 50 acres. And I have a house, well, I have a primitive house, a hut kind of thing. And then there's a pool and there's a bunch of palapas and there's a bunch of things that have been constructed here. Behind me, you see one of the gardens that we have with banana trees and peppers and corn and squash, lots and lots of squash. So I have a couple of Maya gentlemen that work here for me and take care of the land, and they're the ones to plant all the food, and they know how to grow food here. It's not as simple as you might think. I planted some things, and I thought, well, the soil is pretty fertile. It is very rocky, but if you can find soil, it's pretty fertile. And I thought, okay, well, this will be great. So I planted some lettuce, for example, and as soon as it came up, it disappeared. And I was like, what is eating the lettuce? And what it was leafcutter ants. So anything that's kind of sweet and delicate, the leafcutter ants are going to go for it. So I'm trying to figure out a good solution. I think a hoop house is going to be a good idea, and maybe some diatomaceous earth around it to keep the ants out. So I'm learning and I'm planning. There are things to know here. Like I live in a right now in a house with a guano roof. It's the palm leaf roof, and the ants here will occasionally go for your house if you have one of these roofs. What they're doing is they want to climb up into the roof and clean it out, clean all the insects out. So in theory, it's a great thing. Like some people just move out of their house. They're like, okay, let the ants take over, and they're big, big black ants. They're like what you might consider army ants. So they'll be in a trail, and wherever they're going, they're going. So some people here will just move out of their house when the ants come, and the ants literally clean out the house. So in 2 days, they'll clean out all the dead insects, all the live insects. They'll clean out spiders and scorpions and just about everything. So it's a really it's kind of a great service. But you don't want to be in the house. You don't want to have your pets in the house. So if for some reason you don't want them to come in your house, you learn to use things like smoke. So if you light something and create some smoke, it will actually deter the ants. So I'm learning this, and there are big ants, and there's little ants, there's all kinds of ants here. And if you stand still somewhere, you better pay attention where you're standing still, because if you're on top of an ant's nest, they will swarm you. Um, there's all kinds of birds. There's skunks. There are raccoon-like things. There are possums. There are foxes. Um, all sorts of animals. Deer, javelin, pig. So when I moved here, I had one dog that I brought with me, and then there were two dogs that were here. There are actually three. One died, but there were two dogs here. They kind of live with me now. They're all in the house right now, so they've become pets because that's the way I treat dogs. Um, so living here, let me just be quiet for a moment. It's very quiet. Like right now, there's actually not a lot of birds. Sometimes there's a lot of bird action, so you'll hear parrots and you'll hear something called a chachalaca, which is a very loud bird, and it'll usually be one bird calling to another, and they might be close to each other. They might be across the forest. It is a forest here, so you can see behind me the dense forest, and yeah, it's just a beautiful place. So I feel very, very lucky to be here. I feel very lucky to live here. I would not choose to live anywhere else. And yeah, it's a little hot in the summer. So right now it's August. So it's a little hot, and there's some bugs. So you can see me kind of waving them off. There are some bugs during the winter time. Other times of the year there aren't as many bugs, and it's really not that bad though, compared to some other places I've been. Like there aren't any mosquitoes. Well, there are very few. Number one, there's no surface water here. So you might have heard of things called cenotes, and you'll see a picture of them. And typically, they're at the bottom of a hole. So the limestone has been worn down into almost a cave, and then there's water at the bottom, and then the cave roof falls in, and you have this big sinkhole. Those are cenotes. So what it's exposing the groundwater that's below the earth, the surface of the earth. So there's no surface water here. Any water that hits the ground here will disappear within a very short period of time. For instance, it'll rain rain a lot, like coming down in bucket loads, and this yard will become a lake. Within half an hour, it's gone into the ground. So that's the nature of this ground. It's all limestone, so it's a big natural filter. So the water coming up out of the ground is beautiful. I've got a well here, and I've been able to like fill the swimming pool, which is 20,000 gallons. Never had the water run low. We don't really run the pump for longer than 3 or 4 hours because we don't want to find out. But the water table here is pretty impressive. Very clean water as well. So I got to say about that. So there's plenty of water, but you have to pump it up out of the ground. So, oh, mosquitoes. I was talking about mosquitoes. So there's no mosquitoes because if there is standing water here, it tends to be full of tadpoles. So there's lots and lots of frogs, and wherever there's water, whether it's a paint can lid that's got 3/4 of an inch of water, or a big bucket, you'll have tadpoles in it in no time, and they pretty much eat all the larvae, the insect larvae. So speaking of insects, there are a lot of insects here. There are centipedes, millipedes, insects I don't know the name of, big insects, little insects. There are lots of spiders. The spiders are great though because they eat up a lot of the things that you don't want. There are some insects that are a little bit dangerous. Bees, of course, which we all know, but there are black scorpions, and they look really, really evil, but they're not. Their sting is no worse than a bee sting, except it makes your tongue go numb for about 4 or 5 hours. Um, but there's snakes too. I haven't seen many snakes. I don't know if it's maybe just because there's a lot of activity here. Not a lot. There's me and there's 2 workers. So there's not a lot of activity, but maybe enough to keep the snakes away. There's also the dogs. So in the 4 months that I've been here this time, I have seen one snake. No, 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 that's not true. I saw one snake on the ground, and I've seen a couple of snakes in the trees. The ones in the trees are hunting something, and they're usually these really thin little snakes. It's very hard to see them. Usually the workers will point them out to me. What else is it like? It is hot in the summer. It's right now it's 90, which is not too bad. It's 10:20 in the morning, so it's 90. It's probably going to get up to the mid 90s, and the humidity will be pretty high. So what happens is at night during the rainy season, this is the rainy season. The rainy season goes from I think June or July until the end of September. And what'll happen is the humidity goes up to 100, like 100% at night. And then as the day begins to progress, the humidity drops maybe into the 50, 60%, and then it'll rain in the afternoon. And then the humidity stays low for a while, and then it climbs again into the night and then stays high. So it is humid here. You really need airflow in your house. That's kind of important. Without airflow in your house, you'll get moldy things like your leather belts or leather handbags or shoes will go moldy pretty quickly. No, it's not too hard to manage. I mean, you basically wipe it off. So as long as it's not going on for a while, like I had some tools stored and I found my leather tool belt and pouch, and there was literally like this very spectacular yellow mold growing on it. Like it was bright yellow and had little fur on it about this thick, and I was pretty impressed. But still, I was able to clean it off. So unless it sits for a long time, it really doesn't eat your stuff too quickly. What else is there to know live here? Airflow is important. I just said that. Air conditioning will make your house very comfortable. It's very simple to build houses here, very affordable. So basically, you clear a patch of jungle. Like what's behind me has been cleared. Sorry, I just hit my mic. What's behind me has been cleared. So this is basically an open space in the jungle, and then things have been planted in it, like banana trees and squash and cocoa and peppers and all kinds of things. Whatever survived the leaf cutter ants. um, so you clear an area, you build your house. Typically, you pour a slab, and then you build a concrete block house, which has pluses and minuses. You can either go with a Wana roof or you cannot. Those have pluses and minuses. After living in a house with a Wana roof with one of these, um, I'll probably put in a little picture here, but one of these palm roofs, I'm not a big fan. It's really hard to manage. I don't use chemicals in my life. I don't use like really heavy things that kill insects. So it's a bit difficult to manage the Wano roofs because lots and lots of insects live in it. And one time I got here in late April and I went into the city. So I'm about an hour and a half outside Merida. Went into the city and I came home. And one side of my house where my kitchen is, all the surfaces were covered in little black beetles. Like we're talking little beetles, like the size of a grain of rice. It's exactly their size. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And what I realized is they were in the roof and they were just falling out of the roof onto the surfaces. And I said to one of the workers the next day, I'm like, all of a sudden my house has all these beetles. He said, oh, yeah, yeah. They arrive in a big cloud and they kind of arrive and then they settle somewhere and they settled on my roof. I said, well, what do we do? And he said, well, we can bring some chemicals in and kill them all. I was like, no. And then we decided to use neem. And the first go around, we didn't use enough neem, so the beetles didn't die. So they were still raining on my kitchen and everywhere else, my bed, my everywhere. They were everywhere. I would probably sweep up a pound of them every morning, like a big pile of them every morning. And they just continued to rain on everything. So then we did a second round with neem, and that really helped. That really helped a lot. Still had some raining down in my kitchen, enough so that I had to put a big blanket up above the kitchen so it would catch them. But then it was just like a great home for the beetles. They were having a great time up there. So finally, about 2 weeks ago, they really dissipated. So I think it's just a temporal thing. You get the beetles from May until October. No, I'm sorry, August. May until August. Um, there's lots of other things that live in the Wano. There's a like family of kangaroo rats, I guess you'd call them. They look like mice to me, but they have the little furry tails that live up there. They're really pretty innocuous, although they catch my dog's attention. Um, my house is basically uh, it's a Maya style, almost like a Maya style house, except it's a little bit bigger. And it has wood sticks on the outside and it has concrete on the inside. I'll show you a picture. I'll probably just put a picture in with the video. And it's very porous. So what I mean by that is there's lots of ways for things to go in and go out. So last night I was sitting on my couch and I looked over, my dog was laying on the floor and a big tarantula practically ran right over her nose, her snout. And she kind of popped her head up and I let out this yell because it just startled me. And it was kind of funny because the tarantula jumped like a foot off the ground. It was startled too. And they're not harmful. So I just don't like them in my house. Like I found one in my bed and I was like, ah. So it's just not my thing. But I was able to easily, kind of suggest it out with a broom. So I don't like to kill things, so I don't. Now the scorpions are a different matter because they're really fast. So if I find one in my house, especially little teeny ones, little tiny ones, I sometimes just step on them because I know that if I try to catch them or chase them, I'll probably will not succeed and they'll hide somewhere and I just don't want them in my house. So they are unfortunately sacrificed. What else? I don't know what else to say. Maybe we'll end here and then I'll do another series where I will talk some more. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to me. And I'll do a little video where I walk around and kind of show stuff too. So, yeah, that's my video for the day. My name is Sid, and this is Higher Home. Thank you.